Hello, everybody, it's Emma here. Welcome to lesson 5 in my series of 10 lessons on A Christmas Carol. Today, we are going to look at themes and symbols in the novella. Lesson objectives. Identify and explain key themes in A Christmas Carol. Explore how Dickens uses symbols to reinforce these themes. Analyse key extracts to demonstrate understanding. So, what are themes? Okay, a theme is a central idea or message in a text. Dickens uses themes to teach the reader moral lessons. So, what themes do you think are important in A Christmas Carol? I'm just going to give you a couple of moments to have a little think about that. You might want to use your study guide to help you. Model answer. Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol explores several important themes, including redemption, social responsibility, and the spirit of Christmas. One of the most significant themes is redemption. At the beginning of the novella, Ebenezer Scrooge is a cold-hearted miser who values money over human connection. However, through his encounters with the three ghosts of Christmas, he realizes the consequences of his actions and transforms into a generous and kind-hearted man. Dickens illustrates that no matter how selfish or cruel a person may be, they always have the potential to change for the better. Another key theme in the novella is social responsibility. Dickens uses Scrooge's initial attitude towards the poor, his dismissal of charity and his belief that the workhouses are sufficient, as a critique of Victorian society's neglect of the less fortunate. Through the character of Bob Cratchit and his struggling family, especially Tiny Tim, Dickens highlights the importance of generosity and compassion towards those in need. Key themes in A Christmas Carol: redemption, Scrooge's transformation, social responsibility, helping others, the impact of poverty, Christmas spirit, generosity, kindness, joy, poverty and equality, life for the poor in Victorian England. Theme 1, redemption. A Christmas Carol is a story of change and second chances. Scrooge transforms from selfish and greedy to kind and generous. Key quote, "I will honour Christmas in my heart and try to keep it all the year." Consider, what words or phrases would you zoom in on in that quote? Who said the quote? When did they say it? Why does Dickens present redemption as a choice? Dickens presents redemption as a choice in A Christmas Carol to illustrate the idea that people are responsible for their own moral transformation. Through Scrooge's journey, Dickens shows that no one is beyond redemption, but change requires self-awareness, remorse, and active effort. Theme 2. Social responsibility. Dickens uses the novella to criticise the rich for ignoring the poor. The Cratchit family and ignorance and want highlight social issues. Key quote, "Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?" Scrooge, Stave 1. How does Dickens use Scrooge's journey to change his views? Dickens uses Scrooge's journey in A Christmas Carol to transform his views from selfishness and greed to kindness and generosity. This transformation happens gradually as Scrooge experiences key moments that challenge his beliefs and force him to confront the consequences of his actions. Theme 3. Christmas Spirit. Christmas is shown as a time of joy, family and generosity. Fred, Fezziwig and the Cratchits all embody the Christmas spirit. Key quote, "I am as happy as an angel, as merry as a schoolboy." Scrooge, Stave 5. Theme 4. Poverty and inequality. Dickens highlights the struggles of the poor in Victorian England. The Cratchit family, Tiny Tim, and ignorance and want are symbols of hardship. Key quote, "If they would rather die, they had better do it and decrease the surplus population." Scrooge, Stave 1. How does Dickens make Tiny Tim a sympathetic character? Dickens makes Tiny Tim a sympathetic character in A Christmas Carol by portraying him as kind, innocent and vulnerable. Through his physical fragility, unwavering optimism and the love he receives from his family, Tiny Tim becomes a symbol of the hardships faced by the poor and a key figure in Scrooge's transformation. What is symbolism? Symbols are objects, people, or images that represent deeper ideas. Dickens uses symbols to reinforce his themes. Key symbol 1, Marley's chains, symbol of guilt and greed. Marley wants Scrooge to change before it's too late. Key quote, "I wear the chain I forged in life." Explain what this quote means in your own words, and then I'll go through a model answer. I wear the chain I forged in life. The quote, "I wear the chain I forged in life," is spoken by Jacob Marley's ghost. It means that Marley is suffering in the afterlife because of his own actions when he was alive. The chain symbolises Marley's greed and selfishness. Each link represents a choice he made, his obsession with money and his failure to help others. Forged in life means that Marley created this punishment through his own behaviour. His suffering is not random, it's a direct consequence of how he lived. Key symbol 2, ignorance and want. They represent society's neglect of the poor, a warning about what will happen if social responsibility is ignored. Key quote, "This boy is ignorance, this girl is want, beware them both." What stave is this quote taken from? What word or phrase would you zoom in on for your language analysis? How are ignorance and want relevant today? Take a few moments to consider the answer to that question. Ignorance and want, symbolised in A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, remain deeply relevant today. The two allegorical children represent societal neglect, ignorance being the lack of education and awareness, and want representing poverty and deprivation. Key symbol 3, Scrooge's gravestone, represents fate and consequences of actions. Forces Scrooge to reflect on his future. Key quote, "Are these the shadow of things that will be, or maybe only?" What stave is that quote from? Who says the quote? What words or phrases would you zoom in on? Writing challenge. I'm going to give you this question, and then as always, I'm going to go through a model answer. How does Dickens use symbols to reinforce key themes in A Christmas Carol? Use at least one theme and one symbol in your response. Support your answer with evidence from the text. In A Christmas Carol, Dickens uses symbols to reinforce key themes such as redemption. One key symbol is Marley's chains, which represent the consequences of a life driven by greed. Marley tells Scrooge, "I wear the chain I forged in life," showing how his actions in life have bound him in death. This warns Scrooge that unless he changes, he too will suffer the same fate. The chains represent the weight of selfishness and missed opportunities for kindness, reinforcing the theme that redemption is possible if only one chooses to change. Through Scrooge's transformation, Dickens illustrates that generosity and compassion can free a person from their metaphorical chains. I hope that this video on themes and symbolism in A Christmas Carol has been useful, and I look forward to seeing you next time.